My name is James Cabot, and I'll be giving a speech today. And this is my surrounding environment. I'll be giving a speech in my living room, and my audience will be my very beautiful wife, Brittany, and she'll be sitting here. There's no passion to be found playing small, and certainly for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. And this quote by Nelson Mandela has been the basis of my life growing up. I always knew I wanted more for my life, and I'm going back to school now, and in the future I plan to live even bigger. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. I started out in the projects. I saw a lot of fights, a lot of gang violence, and pretty much hung around the wrong crowd of people growing up. My parents felt that it was a better decision for us to move to the suburban area of St. Louis. So we moved to an area called Maplewood, which was not too far from Webster Groves, Missouri. But I started hanging out with a better school, but the same types of people that were in the same area that I grew up with. They didn't really have much for planned for themselves. I partied a lot, and I kind of hung with the same bad crowd that I didn't really see myself hanging out with. But at the same time, I still saw myself as being a little bit different. I knew I wanted more than what this type of life could have for me. I met my wife in 2006 while she was in college in St. Louis, and seeing her drive inspired me to want to do even better with myself. See, she ended up going to a university at Webster University, which was right next door, even walking distance from the high school that I went to. So it was a great area, which actually offered a great college, but I just didn't see myself even being part of that community because of the people that I grew up with. But in 2009, she gave birth to my baby daughter. Which ultimately changed my life. I no longer felt the need to want to hang out with the same crowd that I was hanging out with. Those guys that didn't want more for themselves, they couldn't be part of my life anymore. So in 2012, my wife suggested that we move to Florida. And with not knowing anyone, no family, no friends, or anybody to rely on in Florida, I decided, hey, it couldn't be any worse than living here, growing up with the same people and making the same bad mistakes they do. So I decided it was a good idea, and that's what we did. We made the big jump, and we moved to Florida. Even though it was hard moving to Florida and a big jump in my life, we did it. I left my job, and she was able to keep hers, and we moved to Florida. And even though it took a few months for us to get situated and me to find a job, things started to pan out the way they needed to. I found myself going to Disney, taking multiple cruises, hanging out at the beach all the time. I even had friends that had the same types of interests. Jet skiing, canoeing, kayaking, things that actually made you feel like you were doing something with your life other than the typical partying and drinking and hanging out at the club type of deal. So in the future, I see myself being a pharmacist, living large. I want to provide a great life for my daughter, a better life than what I had growing up, and a better childhood. I was settle for nothing less. From the time I was living in St. Louis, surrounded by violence and negativity, I always knew I wanted to live a big, better life. I'm going to continue to take steps in my life to make this possible. And I'm capable of living and doing the things people thought that were impossible where I come from. Like great Nelson said, Mandela, there is no passion to be found playing small. So I will continue to try to live big, and I hope you do the same. Thank you.